welcome to Force 13 Live. Hurricane Erin has reached a Category 5 status in the Western Atlantic, not far from the Leeward Islands, part of the Lesser Antilles. Estimated winds of at least 160 miles per hour, sustained with higher gusts, and an estimated central pressure near 915 millibars. The storm continues to intensify, with recon planes finding the storm stronger every single time. With rumours that an eyewall replacement cycle might be beginning soon, well, not sure about that just yet, although the eye has been contracting in the last couple of hours. Its movement still appears to be nearly due west, and the eye temperature is hovering at around 19 degrees Celsius, after peaking briefly earlier at about 21 degrees Celsius, and those are all indicators on how strong this storm is, with a massive ring of minus 70 degree cloud tops really showing off this storm's prowess. Well, let's take a look at latest satellite imagery right now. I'm not sure this is actually fully up to date. Let's just reload it. Waiting to do that here. This is the latest imagery from the Force 13 website, and in fact there is a little bit of a minus 80 degree cloud top or two on the southern edge of the rim of the eye, which again looks like it may be shrinking a little bit. It is a small eye in the first place. It was only about 9 miles wide when we were doing our earlier live stream. And it does appear as though in those last few frames maybe it has started just a little bit of a more northwesterly turn. Well, my name is Nathan Foy here in the studio once again. You saw me earlier on if you were on the other stream, and right now I'm joined by a few people. We've got Chris, is that Declan I think there as well again, Maury and JJ. Well, let's speak to some of the people who we haven't spoken to today so far. Let's first talk to Chris. How you doing, and your thoughts on Hurricane Erin right now?
Well, kind of not surprised that it intensified as quickly as it did. Noah was kind of really on top of doing the recon flights with this, and especially the area it's in with the Atlantic and the weather in that area really does not surprise me at all that this intensified. We just kind of hope that it doesn't go towards land, because that would not be a good day for anybody.
Well, at present, the wind field still remains comfortably small enough to not deliver sustained storm conditions to any of the Caribbean islands, although they obviously, one or two areas still erring on the cautious side, with that tropical storm watch still in effect for St. Martin and for St. Barthélemy. Everywhere else, though, is free of warnings at this time. That's the last National Hurricane Center cone on the screen there, and they were forecasting at that point, well, they had it at 155 miles per hour at the start of this hour, 11 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time, and they were forecasting a peak of 165 miles per hour. And for it to still be a Category 4 by the time we get to that last M point on that map there, 8 a.m. Wednesday. Still with 130 mile per hour winds by that point, getting quite close to Bermuda, and then weakening to a Category 2 by the time we get to Thursday. Now, with that storm continually moving further west than expected, one might suggest that it may hug the western side of the cone, and that could bring storm conditions possibly to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, but more immediately to places like the Turks and Caicos Islands and maybe parts of the Bahamas. However, if we are starting to see a little bit more of a northwesterly turn now, then maybe the cone as it is will hold. Those are questions that are going to have to be explored. But right now, basically the breaking news here is that Erin is a Category 5 hurricane, and well, the way it was trending earlier on, it's not very surprising to see in the context of what we've seen so far today. More of a surprise if you've been out of the loop for a day or two or more. And of course, this storm, another reminder of how strong the Atlantic storms can get when they bring their A game. Well, definitely the case here. So small though, as far as hurricanes go. But the concentration of the eye structure is really apparent and has been a key catalyst to this storm's strengthening phase. JJ, you there?
Yep, I am. A little tired, but we're here.
Just wanted to know what your thoughts on Erin were as well right now.
Honestly, very surprised. Like you said, I have been out of the loop for a few days. A lot of things going on. So seeing this storm kind of explode, I checked it on the storm last night, and I think it was intensifying. It was just past Category 1, making a run for Cat 2, and I was like, all right, this I might make up with a major Erin. Probably 115, maybe 120. It's going to begin its rapidly intensifying phase throughout today and tomorrow. So we might see mid Shahaya and Cat 4 by week's end. And I'm here waking up about an hour ago, and the storm is making a run for Cat 5. Obviously, has cleared that and is going to continue to intensify throughout the next couple of days. It's going to be an ace monster, as it's going to probably sustain this intensity throughout the majority of its track. So, just really surprising to see the storm doing so well in the Atlantic, and just shocked again. Was not prepared for this.
It's difficult to say whether it will strengthen further or hold its intensity. It gets more and more difficult the more energy a storm has to strengthen further. But sea surface temperatures are still warming for the next day or two, and conditions still remain good. The key question is going to be if it has an IWAR replacement cycle and when, and if it manages to get out of it quickly, and then we probably could look at maybe some further intensification after that, or even before that, because it is still doing it right now, isn't it, Maury?
Yes, and this is probably a very strong storm. This is a strong storm at the moment. Recon has found through their Dropson data up to down to 915 millibars in pressure and up to 150 knot winds, or maybe 140, I think it was, somewhere around that region, and that will indicate a Category 5 storm. One thing I do want to bring up, if this does head on the western side of the cone in the long term, this will cause strong rip currents. I do think that rip currents are going to be a big concern, especially since this storm is so strong. Even though it is small, it still will cause those rip currents, especially on the Caribbean islands, with this very powerful core that it has.
Well, look, let's not forget Lorenzo did it.
Yeah,
On the other side of the
Lorenzo
damn
did it.
ocean.
Yeah, so this might cause some dangerous rip currents, and that might cause some damage, even though the storm's not going to impact land. So realize rip currents are always a concern with these strong storms, especially when they're out in the open Atlantic.
Yeah, we're just looking through some of the slides here that we have on our automated feed, which is running side by side with any live events that we do during the course of Erin, and you'll be redirected there when we finish this update at the top of the hour. Hopefully it will be moving on to some more satellite imagery shortly, which might be of interest. Well, no, it's the key messages. Well, let's read off that, shall we, whilst we're here, just so that everyone is aware of where we're up to with this storm. So the outer bands of Erin expected to continue producing areas of heavy rainfall through Sunday across the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Rainfall totals of 2 to 4 inches with isolated totals of 6 expected. Locally considerable flash and urban flooding along with landslides or mudslides are possible. A flood warning in effect for all of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area today. Swells generated by Erin will affect portions of the northern Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, and the Turks and Caicos Islands through the weekend. These swells will spread to the Bahamas, Bermuda, and the east coast of the United States early next week. These rough ocean conditions will likely cause life-threatening surf and rip currents. Pretty much what you would expect from all of that. So, any recon inbound right now, or...? There's just the one plane that's still in there, I believe, AF308. And they've continued out to the southeast at this point. Let's take a look at their last pass, though. This is what they captured. Nearly 150 knot flight level winds on that last pass, and that would have been the northwestern side. They've still not. They haven't sampled the northeastern side for about 3 hours now, I think, or 2 hours. And you saw that, I mean, when they entered the eye as well, the bottom left panel, the temperature really rising as they entered the eye, up to about 23 degrees Celsius there. So, very impressive. I'm looking at the wind graphic as well, the top left. We are looking for signs that there might be a second peak somewhere. That would be the sign that we're seeing an eye wall replacement cycle. It certainly... I might see the beginnings of something, but certainly nothing that is well established yet. It does not appear as though we are receiving an eye wall replacement cycle yet, although that data is now half an hour old, a little bit more than half an hour, so things can change swiftly, especially with small eye storms like this one. Back to some imagery right now. This is water vapor imagery that we were looking at just before. So impressive. And back to the infrared imagery as well. Moving over to Maury's screen, who's showing us the recon trails there as well. Those are the tracks that the planes have been taking through the storm on multiple occasions. Extraordinary work that they do. Big jog to the northwest there. Whether that will sustain, I doubt it. But it's a wobble, and it looks like it's going to be more on a westward heading, maybe west-northwest, as we enter the next few hours. Is there anything that anyone would like to point out regarding the structure of the storm as we see it on satellite here?
Well, we are still seeing those rain bands develop towards the eye wall. You can still see a lot of rain bands coming out of the center of the storm. That still shows signs of rapidly intensifying. You can also see the fairly noticeable thunderclouds that are on the outside of the storm towards the British Virgin Islands, just to the northeast of them. That indicates that the storm is still intensifying too. I haven't seen signs of the double-sided clouds yet, but like I don't know if that existed earlier. Like the
Sorry, what?
clouds.
Double-sided clouds?
Basically, what I meant was the clouds on either side of the eye wall. That indicates that it's intensifying.
Ah, yes, I know what you mean. The hot towers that blow up near the center of the storm. When you get one, it's a sign of intensification, but sometimes you get two on either side, and that really shows that the storm's intensifying. That's usually earlier in the life, though. Once it gets to this strength, you don't tend to see it very much.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that it might have had that early in our life, but
Oh, really?
I didn't see it.
Ah.
No. I didn't see it. Yeah, I was just like asking if it occurred.
No, not to my knowledge. Hurricane Lebron, thank you very much for your support here on the stream today. Really appreciate it. How long will it be a Category 5, and how about that disturbance in the Atlantic? And also, Fahia 007 as well. SFMR has been showing consistent 155 to 170 knots. Our thoughts? Well, they tended to have thrown SFMR readings out these days. So I would be skeptical is I think the line that most people take these days. So I don't know enough about why they've been discredited as such, but we checked that data along with the flight level data. The flight level data would not match really, so and quite a few of them get suspect tags on them as well. So the current estimate that they're going with is pretty correct, I would say. Maybe even a smidge higher. It depends what the northeastern quadrant currently has. We don't really know at this point. But regarding the earlier question from Alton Ebron, how long will it be a cat? Well, I mean, the fuel is there for at least 48 hours here of Category 5 status, possibly longer. I'm not sure if anyone would disagree with that in here. Like, the fuel from the sea surface temperatures, it's just whether the storm itself sustains.
Will have storms retain Category 5 status even in an eyeball replacement cycle before?
Well, there's been a few. I can't remember offhand, but they can do sometimes, although usually no. Especially
No, I'm
storms that
unsure.
take these sorts of tracks. Usually you'll see them weaken a category, then might come back again. It'll be interesting to watch nonetheless.
Probably after the eye wall replacement cycle, if there is going to be one in the near future, then we'll see the 48-hour amount of Category 5 status.
And the other question there was about the other disturbance in the Atlantic. While NHC still at 10% there, I'm still watching that front on the right-hand side, southeast of Newfoundland, which could still become a potential subtropical or tropical storm, in my opinion. Although I think chances are going to start to decrease now. But I'd keep a wary eye on that one, just out of curiosity. It's not going to hit anyone. And that 10% in North Carolina doesn't interest me very much. I don't know what you guys think about that on the team.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, it doesn't interest me either unless something happens to where they upgrade the percentage. I don't think we're going to see a storm coming out of that.
It literally has no model support.
Well, the models show it continuing to be a weak surface low that doesn't get much further than it currently has. Let's take some more questions here. If an eye wall replacement cycle occurs now, what changes will it undergo other than intensity? Well, it's the gateway for the storm to really balloon in size, and that is definitely going to happen. By the time it reaches Bermuda, it could be double or even triple its current size, and it will continue to grow after that out as it becomes an extratropical storm near Atlantic Canada. So certainly going to grow larger over time. That is pretty much a foregone conclusion. Skeletor Titan says this is basically textbook explosive intensification. Well, in about how long has it been? Since we were live last night, it must have only been about 15 hours or 16 hours. This storm has strengthened from around 85 miles per hour to 160 miles per hour, doubling its strength almost. So a remarkable 65 knot increase there. And indeed, the National Hurricane Center remarked upon that as well in their earlier discussion. They said that it was a 70 knot increase in 24 hours. And it's added another 5 knots onto that, so you gotta wonder when the pressure drop is going to end, if we're now into the 910s. Truly remarkable. I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, I would say roughly 915 millibars right now. National Hurricane Center's advisory was 917. Isn't that lower than Irma? Was it near?
Yeah, actually, I think it actually is at. It might be at what Irma's peak intensity was right now, 917, 915, and it's been continuing to drop throughout the day.
Irma was 914.
So nearly there, and yeah, Irma was much stronger in terms of winds as well. But goes to show, I'm just mentioning that because we're thinking of comparative storms in this area. Well, let's point out its current location, which is approximately 19.7 north and 62.9 degrees west, and we're going to load up similar storms that have been in this area just to give people some perspective possibly, or at least just something interesting to look at. So let's take a look at all category 4s and 5s in this area, which we can do here. So Maria was not far away, obviously, within a 200-mile radius at least, although it was on the other side of the islands. That's Maria there, of course, a category 5. Jose was very close by as well, in fact, pretty much exactly where Erin is right now, is where Jose passed through in 2017, and Irma very close by as well, of course. Earl 2010, which was being compared to in the earlier stages of Erin when it was about to become a hurricane on a live event the other day. Only got to Category 3 by this point in time, and yet Erin has reached Category 5 status in the same amount of time that Earl managed to get to Category 3, so that's really showing you how impressive this has been. Of course, it's ended up living a little bit further north than where Earl passed back in 2010. Isabel, too, was not too far away, although to the north. That is one example I was thinking of earlier, Mario, when we're talking about storms holding Category 5 intensity. Well, it reached Category 5 status on 3 separate occasions out over the Atlantic, and it was those eyewall replacement cycles that kept knocking it back, and then it came back again before it finally lost out and continued on as a Category 2 until its landfall in North Carolina, which was still very impactful. Fabian in 2003 as well was not very far away from Erin's current location. Of course, it was well on its recurve at that point, however. That also reached Category 4 on 2 different occasions. Lenny, I don't think that really counts. That's a completely different scenario. Edward, 1996, not too far away. Luis of 95 as well, very close to this storm's current position. That was a very strong storm in late August as well. And we'll stop at 1989 Hugo, which of course was in a sort of similar location, recurved a little bit more sharply and then rebounded back towards the northwest, and the rest is history with what happened with Hugo. But let me tell you that it's still very unlikely that we will see a US landfall, and somewhat unlikely that we'll even see any US impacts beyond obviously rip currents, but there is one GFS ensemble now that has it uncomfortably close to North Carolina, enough to possibly give it hurricane force winds. So it's still a non-zero chance that places like that could receive some significant conditions down the line with Erin. Don't forget though, that is still probably 4 or maybe 5 days away. So there's still a lot of room for change, but when you look at that cone, it still looks more than likely that the storm will completely miss the US in terms of wind impacts, possibly miss Bermuda if they're lucky, although I still think they'll get some strong winds for a good while, and then accelerate out over the North Atlantic. Such an impressive storm though, which is really why we've done this special update, declaring that this storm has reached Category 5 status. And Unknown says, what's the name of the sea that Erin is currently on? Does it have a specific name? Is it just Atlantic Ocean? It's sort of just Atlantic Ocean. The Sargasso Sea is ahead of it, though, to the north and northwest, and that's the area it will be entering, pretty much the Bermuda Triangle area there. Let me just, another comment there as well. Erin's still moving due west, ? And when is it going to turn? Well, some signs that it may be just about to embark on a northwesterly turn, maybe just a little bit. Still too early to say whether that is going to be a trend. I would suggest at the moment it possibly isn't doing that just yet. Let me open the floor up to the team right now, because I've been talking a lot here. I just want to make sure everyone has something to say here, because we'll be finishing soon. It does look like it actually has done a bit of a marked northwesterly turn in just the last few frames. What do we think about that? Anyone?
What was the question?
It looks like it may have turned northwesterly, at least for a little bit there. Is it a jog, or do we think it may be a more pronounced northwesterly turn beginning here?
I don't think it's a pronounced turn, because on the latest frames, it looks like it's slowly heading a little bit to the more due west. It seems like that would be just a jog. It doesn't seem like that it was a full move. And
I think you might be right. I believe we're now also joined by Jack. And I imagine he's got a thing or two to say about Erin's explosive intensification here. Well, whilst we wait, hello.
I am here. I'm just getting set up at the moment, and I'll be with you in a moment. I just want to check a few things. Sorry.
All right. Well, this is only a
Um,
short update, Jack. We'll be finishing shortly, so you might want to just let us know your thoughts, maybe.
well, currently my thoughts are, wow, um, this, I wasn't expecting the storm to actually. Well, I was expecting it to get strong, obviously, but I just wasn't expecting it to do it this quickly.
I think that
That's
is
really all I have to say.
a pretty common sentiment indeed. Alec V says that they're thinking a
Yeah.
peak of 175 miles per hour, 903 millibars for Erin, and thoughts. Well, I think the sky's the limit, really, when we're looking at this storm right now. The key questions here is there going to be an IWO replacement cycle soon? And then what happens after that? Because sea surface temperatures are still really good for the next couple of days at least. Even if there is an IWO replacement cycle, it could easily rebound back again. So I think 175 miles per hour is absolutely on the table. It has already got a pressure in the 910s, which in the Atlantic usually might suggest
Oh my
more than
gosh.
160 miles per hour.
I'm looking at it
Was that
now.
news to you, Jack?
Yes, it is news to me. I've just got home from a trip out shopping. Sorry.
That's all right.
The Z imagery is just loading, but I'm already looking at. Okay. Wow. The storm is quite small though, which
It's
probably would give the storm some what's the word I'm thinking of? I've completely lost it now. Sorry.
well,
Helps the storm a bit, I guess.
it's allowed that is how it's managed to explosively intensify. It's certainly been helped by its very small stature.
Yeah. The shear on the storm is also very slight, but it is still there.
Just get a latest temperature estimate here. We're still at 19 degrees Celsius at this point for the eye temperature.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, earlier it peaked briefly at 21.
Oh, 21 earlier.
Yeah, it was 21 degrees earlier. And now let's just
It probably
grab this image here too.
Oh, it looks like on the latest frames it's jogged slightly to the north.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking just before there. It's a shame we don't really have any more recon data that we can bring to you. They're on the eastern side of the storm right now. And it's going to be a little while until they're back. Oh, no. Well, I think they are turning into it maybe now. I'm not sure, but that's AF308. They will get another pass on the storm soon. Such an impressive storm. So... Oh, CVK says the northern side a little bare compared to the south. There's Saharan air layer to its north. It's been dragging a lot of dust with it as it's been moving along. That is absolutely true. And that may well be its slight undoing later on in its life, but we'll have to wait and see. Not all of these islands are marked on this particular graphic, but you can see the Virgin Islands at least marked there. That's the proximity they're in to the storm. Maybe, oh, this is some imagery over the course of today. Yep, so let me just mark whilst I'm here. Those are that's St. Martin and Anguilla, and you can see how close they are to the proper stuff in the storm. Just about squeaking past without any real effects, thankfully, but rainfall could still be a significant factor, up to 6 inches possible.
Visible imagery, what the hell?
What?
It's gone all funny.
That's what? It's gone all funny.
I'm looking at visible imagery, and the satellite has gone all funny.
I'm reading chat from some of our people in the some of the rest of our team about how. Well, the first comment he wrote was that the outer eye wall is falling apart. Well, I don't really see any evidence of that yet. And then the next comment was, "This is big," and I want to caution that drops on the measurement. Don't forget, those are instantaneous winds. However, it could lend credence that the storm may have strengthened a little bit more. It certainly wouldn't surprise me if this storm has strengthened a little bit further, but I don't think we could use what he sent to us there as evidence of that.
What's the current estimate? What's the current estimate we'd have on the storm right now?
So we are now giving 160 miles per hour and a pressure of 915 there.
160. Oh my, 915. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it's not 165.
Yeah, well, yeah. There was also a comment about rip current graphics, which we can also show you as well. You can find these on the National Hurricane Center's website now, just so that everyone is aware. But I will do it here for everyone's benefit. You can see here they've got moderate out for St. Croix, ironically, and none of the other parts of the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico, apart from the northern coast of Puerto Rico, where there is a rip current statement or warning there. Parts of the east coast of the US as well, moderate risk today. I don't think that's directly from the storm, but that will get more elevated later on in time. And for some reason, parts of Texas there as well at a high risk right now. Of course, there was that invest that moved through there yesterday, but I was looking at satellite just before, and there's really not much to look at. And there's tomorrow, okay, and they're all in red there for tomorrow for rip currents for this area around Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, so that's when things are going to get more significant. Alright, so let's, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you know this. Actually, no, of course. Okay, I've got mixed up in my words again. Sorry. Okay. When the storm gets closer to the eastern seaboard, wouldn't that cause a bit more of a problem in terms of rip currents for the whole of the eastern seaboard as well?
Oh yeah, it absolutely is going to do that.
Yeah. So okay. I was just clarifying.
Yep, such an incredible appearance on this storm. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We'll be going over now to our automated stream, which you'll be able to access through our YouTube channel as well, but you'll be redirected automatically here. We'll have another live update on Erin tonight at 8 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. We think it might be 9, I'm not sure yet. 8 or 9, we'll be having an update that is midnight or 1 a.m. UTC. For the time being, though, that's all from us here. Hurricane Erin is a Category 5. The Atlantic thundering in style. It took 5 attempts. A 5th named storm gets to not only hurricane status, not only major hurricane status, but to Category 5 status in this 2025 hurricane season. Really incredible scenes. Thankfully, this storm isn't seriously affecting land at the moment, but things could still change later on down the line. We'll be here with more updates throughout. Until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you over there on our automated feed.